Okay, well, hello everyone. I'd like to first of all thank both Sue and Kelly and Jesse and David and all the people that helped us. And I thought this was just a fabulous experience. So it was, and I'd also like to thank all of you because I think that the sharing of ideas is what's really kind of made it really rich for me. And so I was thinking that there are a couple of real big takeaways for me with this. And one of the things is not only am I really enthusiastic, but I started off the original course asking how can someone feel like you can have Jesuit values and have cura personalis within this kind of environment. And I think that I can see a path to that. So that's really, really cool for me to think future wise about really the idea of having a totally online class. So, and I think it's really due to all the sharing that goes on. So thanks to all of you. So the course I'm going to talk just a little bit about is this course. This is a hybrid course. I borrowed a couple of ideas from Dawn. I only have like 2 or 3 slides, but it's just a way to organize my thoughts a little bit, and then I'll show you the course that I'm working on. So this course is a combined course between the data science program and our professional MBA program. So it's a cross-listed course. And as you can see, the title is Business Intelligence and Strategic Decision Making. It's the first course in the data science program, so it's the intro course, and I really focus a lot on this idea of how do people make decisions, and therefore trying to set stages hopefully that then lead in really well to a lot of the other topics they're going to see. And so it's been really fun for me to have Dawn and Sebring here because we are in the same program, right? And so there's kind of a richness that comes from that. The course is currently hybrid. I taught it the first time this past semester, so it is, and got really good results from it. It's a hybrid course with about, I think I had 4 sessions that were online, some asynchronous, some synchronous. The synchronous ones didn't go really great. I was using Adobe Connect. I like Zoom really a whole lot better. So I'm really excited about using that particular technology. And there's some pieces I already had and some pieces that I built out. So I'll show you, trying to give you a little bit of an idea of what they were. Let's see if I can get down. Okay, so this is kind of what I first said. And students, I have them evaluate every session, so I really have a lot of feedback for this in terms of where to spend some time. The students that I had, and I had about about 18 of them, I guess, in the spring semester. So it was a really good class with, in terms of number of students, tended to like asynchronous better than synchronous. But I really think to some degree that was because of the technology that we were using, and some problems with trying to hear at the same time they were viewing things. So I wanted to build some specific components in. That was my original goal. The thing I thought that was interesting, though, is I became most excited about understanding by design. Even though my original goal was to learn technology, it's like, I just really love this enduring understandings idea, And so we're going to even use it now. We have to write some objectives for our program, and in the business school you actually evaluate things at the program level, so we're setting objectives there. And I think this is a really good way for me to think about or conceptualize what are we really trying to get at here, and then I think that guides a lot of the decisions that we make in terms of what we do. So I won't go through all of these, but I'll try to at the real high level. Hopefully you can see them. Their students will understand that, and some of you know I originally had these as I's. I keep posing them one way or the other way. Currently I've gotten rid of the word I and have gone back to a little more generic way to say it, so students will understand that. So the first one is around decision making. It's a process, and you can have these traps, so we spent some time on that. The second one is that analytics and data-driven decisions will generally lead to better decisions and more effective decisions, so that's important for me. A third one is that there is an analytics process, and so I try to describe a little bit in terms of this, in terms of what it is, and you can build new knowledge through these techniques. And then the last one is that you also need to be able to communicate knowledge, and so I like the phrase storytelling around that, and we use visualization to do it. And so then I took those enduring understandings and then repose those in terms of essential questions. And I won't read all of those to you, but like I said, I really like this kind of way of thinking about the overall course. So I'm just going to, at a real high level, I'm not going to do individual ones on each of these communities of inquiry, but this is another framework that I really liked a lot. And Patricia, I did love your chart with all your little X's. I didn't do that, but I probably will try to go back and do it, right? And so I have a combination in terms of social presence, both face to face, and then I now have built in Wiki, some voice thread. Zoom, of course, is the new one for me to use. And then the idea of social presence in terms of I have group presentations and things like that. So that's part of the social presence part. In terms of cognitive presence, this course is very hands-on. I tend to be, when teaching-wise, very hands-on. It's in a computer lab. And so we have a combination of do things together. We do things in groups. I project from the student screen to the board. So I do a lot of, so what are you doing? And I kind of check, is it okay if I show your screen? And therefore you can check in with them and project that to the screen, and they explain it. And sometimes we debate it and we take it all apart. So I really like that kind of really active kind of learning sort of thing. So the cognitive presence is reinforced both online and that through these experiential activities and explaining them to each other. And then I also built in, using some of those interactive things, some self-quizzes and self-assessment kind of pieces with the, is it H5P, which I'd be interested in what those letters stand for, but at any rate, those are the ones that I built in. And then in terms of teaching presence, I have, just like everybody else here, kind of objectives for each lesson, clear lesson plans. And then one of the things that I have at the graduate level tended to do, and I haven't built them yet into the course as much as I use them in the classroom, I tend to bring an agenda, a written agenda for each class. And what some of us do is write it on the board. This is our agenda for the class. But what I found really effective at the grad level is to literally hand out an agenda, just like you're in a meeting. It works at least well on the business side of things to say, this is exactly what we're going to do, and then I can put at the end of it, here the here's what you need to do for next week. And so it becomes a very organized way, because I do use a lot of materials, and sometimes you need a little bit of a roadmap through all the things that I do. Okay, so to the course. And I'm still playing with the course, but this is at the top level. I keep playing with this banner. I can't quite get the colors. So at the moment I had it gray, I had it blue. Blue seemed pretty bright when I was looking at it last night. I built this piece up here, which I really like, this idea of meet the professor kind of thing, and I also like the idea of putting the virtual office up there, Sibrin, so I'll probably go back and do that. I didn't put a phone number. I can't decide about a phone number because I never use it. I just don't think of answering the phone to start with. So if people talk to me, they really should contact me by mail. And I do use Twitter, so I have a Twitter handle on here. And one of the things that's been really good for this course, and I had been using it now in the classroom, is I run a Twitter feed. So this is my Twitter feed, and I've run it and put it right here into my course. And you can see these are sent to me by my students. So this would be my current students, and I retweet theirs. I don't run everything through this. I just mostly run the stuff that's coming from students. But this becomes kind of a really current event kind of thing, and we talk about it in the classroom, and they watch it, and it becomes kind of like immerse yourself in this subject matter a little bit, and where else is it around? So that's been actually amazingly popular, and I do ask students as part of kind of participation to do 5 or so a semester, and generally everybody will, kind of do that, and kind of enriches the classroom, I think. So, like I said, I'm still sort of playing with my headers. I've always had something up here, and I can't decide whether I like that. I was actually trying to make it look a little more like Dawn and Sibrin's, with the point of view it's a data science program, and there should be kind of a consistency in at least the top and the way it looks. That was kind of my thought anyway. So we can kind of maybe debate that a little bit more. So at the top I have kind of the required materials, and one of the things, this is kind of a question in terms of future things that I was trying to decide, is whether, one of the faculty in my department somehow has tabs up here and has the syllabus as a tab. And I'm wondering if that would be an effective way to kind of make this syllabus jump out, because Dawn said something yesterday I thought was really insightful in the sense that my syllabus is pretty detailed, and it is something that I really use constantly in the classroom. So I won't go down through it too much, but if you look, well, that's just all verbiage, of course, but I have laid out for every classroom these kind of what you're going to read, what the topic is, what are the deliverables, and they're all color coded. So things are color coded back in terms of what they are. And I'm wondering whether that would be good somehow, because it really becomes the guide to the course. And so we start there and we kind of check in with that and follow it through with all of that. And then I also have, go down here really quickly, but I do things like in the bottom of my syllabus, the appendices are all the specifics. You know, they're doing an interview in my case, I'm interviewing people. I tell them exactly what the project's supposed to look like. All the presentations are evaluated in the classroom by every person. My idea is if you're going to do a presentation, you're not doing it for me, you're doing it for everybody else. So let's all evaluate it. So I have kind of a grading rubric that goes in terms of putting that together. And then in terms of this kind of social media. So that's just a kind of a general question. I'll maybe go back with Sue and talk a little bit about how to bring that out in this context, because in the classroom I just use it kind of all the time. So the top is pretty much like you all have. I did go at the moment to these, and I don't, again, like the colors. And again, I was trying to go for consistency in the data science look and feel.
So Simran and I both got color, so we can share our color.
There we go.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was doing, and I was playing with this, but I was thinking that it would feel like a program on this if we had it a little more consistent in terms of at least our coloration and a banner at the top. I think that would be a kind of a cool thing that we could do. So this is the section I've been working on. And so this is one in which we are doing optimization. This is after we've been through a lot of things around decision making. Oh, I have one other question, but I'll share that at the end. And so this, Sue helped me with getting this sizing right. I was having a lot of trouble with getting this. And so I was trying to go with this. I've been doing this in these sections anyway, is using labels. And so what are the objectives so that they're clear? What's the software in this case that we're going to use as we go through a lot of software? What is the session about? And I don't know how to make it any clearer. I do have these self-checks that I've now built in, little true falses and multiple choice to kind of self-check your way through different pieces of that. And then maybe this would be clear if I just didn't have the color on it, but I want it to stand out. This is for you to do, so this is the task sort of thing. And that's what these pieces. In order to build a little bit more social presence, I did have this wiki, and so what I'm planning to do with this wiki, which just goes to the screen you all have seen, is to ask each student to say, for this topic that we have in each of your industries, to give an example of how optimization is used within your own company. And so the idea with that is, one, you kind of share it in a quick kind of way with each other, but to keep driving home this idea of how's it affecting decision making. So to me, that became a thread through it. And you can really use this stuff, you know. It isn't just a kind of a task to do. I always think things should be value added. So that's, and then some of these other ones I already had sort of built out. So you can see some of these in there kind of at the end. So that's, I guess, mostly what I really want to do now, besides get these colorations, which I somehow can't seem to be happy with, figured out. And I would like to make it consistent with the kind of look and feel of everyone else's. But I'm going to end with this question, because I always thought it's a really neat teaching idea, and it's one I've gotten some of the workshops that we've gone to in terms of teaching. And the idea is that you should be able to really diagram your course to a student. You should be able to visualize it. That you actually want to create a visual map of what your course looks like. And that's come in some of these teaching the one that's the gentleman that's in South Carolina, University of South Carolina, 1 minute. And so you can see here, when I start my course, this is my visual map. And at the beginning of each unit, I don't pull it out every session, but at the beginning of each unit, I describe it in terms of this is what we're going to go through, and this is what this course is. And then as we transition to units, it's like, okay, and now we're looking at this topic, and now we're looking at this topic. And it's kind of a cool way, one, for you to make sure that the course flows, but also for students. And it has been actually an effective way to visualize the course. So I have lots left to do. And Camtasia, I have now recorded some things, but I'm not confident enough yet to show them, So I want to do some demos with software with Camtasia.